and you're paying tons and tons of money to be there. So in the dental school, there's no business training. There is no training to sell your skill at all because these patients are already curated to come to dental schools to get the work done. Either the local dentists are going to refer them, or they're problematic patients, or they're Medicaid patients. So automatically the schools get funded with money. And the school also has the upside of getting these patients automatically because school is cheaper. So the students don't realize that there is a cost to getting these patients, right? Because they go in the morning, they wear their lab coat, they have their Starbucks, they're all ready, they have their instruments, they get a chart already, and you just have to call the patient. That's about it. The only responsibility is to make an appointment and just to make sure the work is done. That's it. But they don't know what goes behind the scenes to get to that patient. So, and a lot of times schools have things that are already curated for them. So for SRPs and fillings and anything like that, they don't have to pay, right? The whole treatment plan is done. They have to pay a package deal, which sometimes you don't even know. And the front desk knows. You just have to do the work and be done with it. So 3 years or 4 years of this kind of mental training, you think that you're going to get out and the patient is going to come and get you like a magnet. But that doesn't happen. And that's where it hits you that you don't know how to even talk to people. You don't know what marketing is because this was never taught. That is one caveat in dental schools that I keep seeing because we hire tons of associates. And when I talk to them, I'm like, you know, the best of dentistry. All they're showing me is their work. I am impressed with their work. My doctors does amazing work, but that work is zero if you don't know how to sell yourself, if you don't know the language, if you cannot sit down and comfortably talk eye to eye to the patient, right? And don't talk into jargons, don't talk into dentistry, just listen to what they're saying. Just try and help them out with what their problem is instead of you putting your input in. Connection lacks. And even though you could do dentistry, they're going to say, oh, okay, because they're watching you up and down. They're watching your body language. If you're jittery, if you're using too many words, if you're giving them too many options, too much dentistry, you're standing up with your hands tied down and your loops up on the head, they'll be like, okay, I'm going to ask my husband.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dent Meant. Masood, I cannot believe it, man. It's been exactly
Let's
a
not
year and
count
a
anymore.
half. Let's not count
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah, man. I was just telling myself this morning, I was like, oh, man, last week I did 4 podcasts. This week we got like 3, 4. It's not too bad, but I'm loving it, man. Well, today I'm excited for this because today we are joined by Dr. Hopefully I say your name right. I can say the last name, but the first name is Nazish Jaffery. Is that right? Beautiful.
Yeah.
So Dr. Jaffery is a leader who has made a strong impact in both clinical dentistry and dental entrepreneurship. She is the CEO and founder of Secure Dental and co-founder of DentaVia, bring together her expertise in general cosmetic dentistry with the forward-thinking approach to practice growth and patient care. Her work spans implant, cosmetic treatment, and innovative business solutions that support modern dental team. Doc, thank you so much. Welcome.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be with you guys. And I just love that you're so much involved in your clinical journey and you have such a good setup to help other associates growing up. And I think the best thing is you are in the field. You're just not behind the computer saying the stuff maybe from ChatGPT, but you're actually going through each thing. And that really stands out because you're talking from your heart. You really want to help other people, and that experience counts.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so
Doc.
much.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that by you saying it means a lot. Yes, the goal, like I think when I was on your podcast and you were kind enough to invite me. The one thing I mentioned is that the goal for me after graduating dental school and when I was like talking when I met Masood and we discussed about building Dentsman, the goal is to build a value for the next generation of dentists because I believe that our industry can be so much better if we can empower younger doctors so they can understand the business of dentistry, and they can benefit from their hard work, man, because we do work hard. Dentistry is not easy, a school is hard, all of that. So I hope that we can make some differences and give them the ability to be able to kind of grow on their own and figure themselves out. With that being said, Doc, I would love to hear your journey. How did you get into dentistry? And then we'll deep dive into your organization because I love what you guys do at Secure Dental.
Okay, well, my dentistry starts from kind of Pakistan. I'm a
Mhm.
foreign grad. Me and my husband, we did both dentistry back in Pakistan long time years ago. Obviously, then he came here. I had to follow him. We got to Canada. We didn't get any luck getting into schools in Canada because one, the application process is very expensive at that time. We had to pay around like $150 to $200 for the application, and each page has to be attested. So that was different. And we didn't have money. I was a security guard at a place. My husband was washing dishes at a place. When you're young, you do all that kind of stuff. So it was very hard in Canada to do it. Then we started applying in the United States. It was good. The applications didn't have any money, so we just went out. We applied in a lot of places, and eventually we got into NYU. So my husband got into NYU first, and we had to stagger our loans. Obviously, everybody knows you have to get a cosigner, so we couldn't get a cosigner right away. So that was that part of the struggle. So I was still doing odd jobs. I was a security guard in one place for 2, 3 years. I was doing my exams and stuff like that while he finished. And once he finished, he started into a DSO. He worked there for 5 years. I went into school and I went to NYU, graduated, and that's kind of condensed version, but there were a lot of ups and downs in that. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate with me. It wasn't easy. We were living apart for a very long period of time. And living in NYU already is very expensive. So, making sure your loan really doesn't get any higher. And we graduated and we worked for a very good DSO, which really helped us. They became our mentors. And again, the DSO is a DSO because obviously they're running a very cutthroat business, which dentistry is a business. And we learned a lot of business sense from them. How your time matters in the chair. You cannot be spending 2 hours doing fillings. How can you maximize it? How can you diagnose faster? So we learned tons and tons of stuff. I know a lot of associates, they don't like it. The dentists have bad experiences sometimes, and it can be a mix of a lot of things. But we had a good experience. We actually started our earning from there. But we were kind of capped in that DSO is because we didn't have implants to do there. Uh, the root canals were still hand done. They weren't rotary. And obviously, at one time, we were all capped. We were like, okay, we know these things to do. Let's start doing something else. And we started looking around for offices. So when we started looking around for offices, we knew, being in the DSO world, that going into a very saturated city would hurt us because who's going to come to our office right away? So we strategically planned to be in Peoria, where I am now, and my head office is here. And we started our office from there. So, in a nutshell, we kind of started it like that. And the reason we left the DSO was because our skills were kind of capped.
No,
Yeah.
I love that. That is the journeys like that. It's what's motivating because we each, the fact that, you came in the country and had to go through all the challenges. Me and Masood, we are both from Iran. I left Iran when I was super young and then coming to the US. And so I can completely relate to that and not having anything and having to figure things out. But those are the type of challenges that make us who we are. And it gives us the motivation to want more out of life, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's really, really true. Because those experiences really helped me. Living in New York helped me. Being a security guard helped me because when you come from a very sheltered family like mine was in Pakistan, you don't work. You have people to work for you, and all your parents do is just sit home and study, okay? Sit home and study. And you're so sheltered, everything's done for you. And suddenly you go in and now you're doing these odd jobs, and people are very different. The personalities are very different, and we learn. And I think that process with these two things helps me talk to patients now because I understand personalities much better. If I wouldn't have done that, I know I wouldn't have the confidence to talk to people. or even sell a case or sell
Yeah.
my skills. So it's important, I think.
That is the one thing that you just mentioned, is the one thing you mentioned a lot of dentists don't like mentioning is that you said selling. I really want you to emphasize on this because I want the dentist to understand that at the end of the day, we are selling a service to a patient. And why do you believe that is such an important part of our industry? And why do dentists need to understand that selling the services, selling a crown or whatever that is, why is that so important? And why dentists shouldn't take it as it's a bad thing rather than it is a good thing? We're selling a service to a patient. So I believe, because a lot of time I talk to dentists and even myself, I'm like selling them, I'm selling them on a crown, I'm selling them on an implant, I'm selling them on a bridge. So like, why is that shouldn't be an issue for the dentist to understand that it's okay to call it sales than anything else?
I don't know what else you're going to call it, right? I think what happens, I don't know. I think what happens is when you're in dental schools, and these dental schools are very, very prestigious, right? And you're paying tons and tons of money to be there. So in the dental school, there's no business training. There is no training to sell your skill at all because these patients are already curated to come to dental schools to get the work done. Either the local dentists are going to refer them, or they're problematic patients, or they're Medicaid patients. So automatically the schools get funded with money. And the school also has the upside of getting these patients automatically because school is cheaper. So the students don't realize that there is a cost to getting these patients, right? Because they go in the morning, they wear the lab coat, they have their Starbucks, they're all ready, they have their instruments, they get a chart already, and you just have to call the patient. That's about it. The only responsibility is to make an appointment and just to make sure the work is done. That's it. But they don't know what goes behind the scenes to get to that patient. So, and a lot of times schools have things that are already curated for them. So for SRPs and fillings and anything like that, they don't have to pay, right? The whole treatment plan is done. They have to pay a package deal, which sometimes you don't even know. And the front desk knows. You just have to do the work and be done with it. So 3 years or 4 years of this kind of mental training, you think that you're going to get out and the patient is going to come and get you like a magnet. But that doesn't happen. And that's where it hits you that you don't know how to even talk to people. You don't know what marketing is because this was never taught. That is one caveat in dental schools that I keep seeing because we hire tons of associates. And when I talk to them, I'm like, you know, the best of dentistry. All they're showing me is their work. I am impressed with their work. My doctors does amazing work, but that work is zero if you don't know how to sell yourself, if you don't know the language, if you cannot sit down and comfortably talk eye to eye to the patient, right? And don't talk into jargons, don't talk into dentistry, just listen to what they're saying. Just try and help them out with what their problem is instead of you putting your input in. Connection lacks. And even though you could do dentistry, they're going to say, oh, okay, because they're watching you up and down. They're watching your body language. If you're jittery, if you're using too many words, if you're giving them too many options, too much dentistry, you're standing up with your hands tied down and your loops up on the head, they'll be like, okay, I'm going to ask my husband. I'm going to come back. That's the indication. I tell my associates that is the indication that you were not able to instill trust in them that you can hold your handpiece. You can do best of the work, but you lost the patient. And it's very easy to sabotage
That's
your own self.
quite interesting, doctor. I was actually doing a study last night on dentists, and I was doing a study, like I was just finding out, reading some researches about the communication skills of dentists. And I found some staggering numbers that 1 out of every 3 patients, I actually posted a LinkedIn post on it today. 1 out of every 3 patients switch dentists because of poor communication, like the averages in the industry. And females and older dentists tend to do a better job in communication
Mm,
than people like, sorry, Dr. Milad, I mean no offense, but people in your like area tend to they need a little bit of work.
yeah,
And
yeah.
there were three basically like something that I came up with, like 3 different methods that really helped a dentist to make a better rapport, make a better relationship with the patients? Firstly, I was going to ask you, like, do you have a system for it, like, from when the patient walks in to how you're going to build a relationship with that patient, how you're going to make that patient trust you? Do you have a system for it? Like, what steps do you follow for that?
Yeah. So uh, our regular patients who come in, they're just like treated really well from the front desk to the back. So they come in, they're getting checked in. Once they are filled the form out, it's all digital. So we've taken that paper aspect out of it. Then our dental assistant goes in, shows the office around, and then we have like a little area that they have to show the office deliberately before they get to the x-ray. So we get the pano done, and they've seen the office and they've seen how clean it is, and how our office is working. So they're starting to get a little warm. They're like, okay, this is not a scary place. And then they sit them down, talk about what their issues are. Our manager goes in. A lot of times a dental assistant would come out and let them know. So my doctors during this time, because the x-rays are already taken, my doctors are already seeing them in that room, in their own room. So they're starting to do the treatment plan right there. That's how I have trained them not to look at the x-ray first time in the op room with the patient, because you're distracted, very, very distracted. So once the panel and x-rays are done, they're in the room and they're starting to formulate the treatment plan. That's where they're starting to formulate what they're going to say. And initially, when the doctors are with me and we start their training with us, I sit with them during that time. And we're like, okay, this is the x-ray. And the dental assistant is writing her notes so we can see it, that everything's coming along, and we kind of know what their chief complaint is starting to come in. So now we're formulating it, and I'm teaching them, hey, this is what you can say. This is how you're going to tackle this tooth. If the patient says, I just want to get one tooth done, and you see tons of other work, focus on the one, right? So we're trying to curate them because they don't know this language yet. Otherwise, what used to happen when we were there, we were just given charts, and then you're flipping all those x-rays and you're talking to the patient and you're looking at the x-rays and you're just very flustered. So we've tried to take the fluster out and try and see if we can do the initial part of the talking and the treatment plan in the office room. And then we do our charting, and then the doctor goes in after the manager has done the introduction. And then the doctor would go in, they would introduce themselves, sit down. And because they already have everything in the head, they don't have to keep going back to the computer because that is distracting. I need them to listen to you. I need them to sit down and look in the eye because you already formulated everything, right? Now you don't need to go back again and again. And then we have big screens, obviously. So we point to certain things. So we try and see if we can get their attention faster. And then once the treatment plan's done, they would say, okay, Mrs. Jones, I'm going to see you for the root canal, or if you don't want to do it today, then we hand it over to our treatment coordinator or office manager, and they go in, they settle down the finances, they have any other questions, they figure that out with them, and they let the doctor know if we are doing the treatment today or tomorrow or whatever you have. So if the finances were there, they usually have that merchant service thing. They take it with them and they get them signed up or whatever they have to do in the op room. So they don't have to walk out, stand in line and wait and have everybody else listen to their issues. We just take it to them. So everything happens in our op room.
And that's quite a complex system because it doesn't just involve you, but involves many other human beings that all of them
Yeah.
need to know how to communicate with the patient.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that when you started doing dentistry, like especially when you started with your first office, you probably had a lot of challenges coming up with this system.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now it has refined, and it's refining at every level at a different, like we're always, oh, this doesn't work, oh, this doesn't work. But when we started off with the DSO, it was just get you the chart and you have to figure out, and there are like 6 other charts, and you're like, oh my goodness, I have so many patients that I need to see, and you go too fast. The dental assistants don't know from head to toe what they're doing. This involved a lot of training, and we made leads. So it took time, but we identified really strong girls who are able to be teachers, because a leading dental assistant doesn't mean she's just doing orders. A lead dental assistant for me is somebody who can teach and replicate herself. And that's very important. So when they come back for review, I'm like, how many people did you teach? And that's part of the onboarding process that we have. So if they are able to teach, then I don't have to teach because I've taught one. Now they're going to replicate three more and they'll replicate three more. And that's how I have 9 lead dental assistants that if you pick one, they'll all say the exact same thing. And then we made policies around it. We chose one out of it who was very OSHA and HIPAA compliant. And I watched her for a long period of time. And then we made her into a OSHA and a HIPAA officer. She's a lead dental assistant. Plus, she does that because I found that her interest was really into that. So it took me time, but instead of firing right away, I'm usually thinking if the person is just like totally unbearable, yes, we part ways. But sometimes the person might be in the wrong seat and they might have another skill that we can use in that office. So I had one dental assistant who nobody wanted to work with, and every time I would get all these complaints, and I sat down and we're like, okay, we did so much training, everything's there, you know how to do this, but I don't understand, because he was very introvert, he wouldn't talk. It's just the way the person was. And I got to find out that he was very good in IT and CAD/CAM, which is perfect, right? So we put him in our CAD/CAM area for designing, and he loves it. So I took him out from an uncomfortable situation and put him in something that he really likes. So sometimes we got to know if somebody has another skill that I can bank on. Everybody has weaknesses, and we're always focusing on weaknesses. But the people who are key in my office right now in like 10 years have key specialties that they love doing, love doing. There is one that just really likes spreadsheets. So whatever spreadsheet you want, that manager would make it for you. Very, no issues. And she made all our policies because she is very good in that aspect of doing it. So it took time, but I would say in the first 2 offices that I had, Masood, we were all over the place because the 2 offices were running 2 different ways. They were doing their part of the work and they were doing that part of the work. But we kind of controlled it. Or once we started seeing that, the OSHA HIPAA wasn't getting done correctly, we're like, no, we have to make one policy. And that's how we started making our policies and pushing it down in the offices in that chain.
At what point in time did you have the feeling that I have like all the right systems in place that I can now go, because especially like you said, you had 2 offices and each of them was running a different system, a different symphony that you couldn't control them. At what point did you feel like, okay, this is a scalable method, this is a scalable system that I can just start acquiring many more? Like, when was that tipping point?
So when we started off, we were with the Dentrix G5 system. And those systems work differently. And then if you wanted to centralize one insurance coordinator, or even if you wanted to see the other office, we had to go into the VPN, sign in, sign out, and all that kind of stuff. So around the 3rd office when we were opening, my husband was getting irritated with it because it's like very annoying that you have to log into a VPN, then you can see, then you can help somebody out. So we made a switch. The first switch that we made for centralizing stuff was changing our Dentrix into Dentrix Ascend, because Dentrix Ascend gave us the capability to centralize in one place, one login, and we can see everything that is happening right away. And maybe there are other systems, but we were with Henry Schein. That was the system that was shown to us, and we just really loved it. So we had a team meeting, we got a really good demo from 2 different offices, and we went into it. So that was our first software that helped us be compliant and make sure that we're doing exactly the same thing, because now our fee schedules were same, right? Only one person was allowed to touch the fee schedules and they were same. Only one person was doing insurances and they were able to see everything in one place. They didn't have to log in and log out in a lot of different VPNs. When we were training our associates, it was very easy because I could see their x-rays right away and help them treatment plan. While I'm treatment planning, they can see it on their side. So this helped. After that, obviously these systems wouldn't be affordable when you're one office. And it doesn't make sense when you're one office. These usually make sense when you're spread out a little bit. Then when we were to the fourth office, we invested in Bamboo HR, which is we hired before we were just hiring, firing. Each manager had their own ways of doing it. But we're like, okay, it was getting expensive. It was all haywires, and we needed a system to put all our compliance documents in one place. And we also needed a place where I could keep everybody's certificates, everybody's documents for credentialing and things. So we liked Bamboo HR at that time. It was very affordable for us and it gave us unlimited storage. And now it has become really robust for us that I cannot live without it because it gives you all aspects of HR that are happening in our office. It has grown with us. It gives my doctors, my dental assistants, ability to recertify, and I don't have to worry about it. It's all compliance based. So that's how we kind of, as we increased and we had a little bit more to invest, we invested in these softwares to start helping us out, consolidate, and then it also helps me because then I can do chart audits easily, much better. So, yeah.
I
That's
love that.
amazing. Yeah. And one side note, Dr. Mila, I'll let you ask
Sure, sure.
the rest of the questions. One side note I just wanted to add, lately I've been studying the body language.
Mm-hmm.
And you see me show up my hands in this matter. I usually wasn't doing that, and Dr. Mila doesn't do that either. I have to have a chat with him to do it too.
To do it.
Actually, body language is very important. Like people tend to listen to you more based on what they see than what they hear. And you have a very good body language. I can imagine that you do a lot of presentations about your work.
I had to learn. I was never like this. I had to really learn. Me and my husband, we really invested. Yeah, I should have said that before Dentrix, we invested in ourselves quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we didn't invest in dental stuff. We actually invested in our own selves. You're right. It is really important to invest in yourself because otherwise the team doesn't follow you. The team falls apart. And we're just asking the team to do this, this, this. We want them to be on time, but we're walking in at 9 o'clock with coffee and half hair done, right? How are you gonna have somebody follow you? They won't follow you, right? So we have strict guidelines. And like I said, I learned this over a period of time. Yep, even body language, how to talk to people. I was never like this. But I think it's just part of the way how you have to present to the patient to make sure they can say yes to your treatment, that that it is a necessity. You have to be very concise and open to them.
Yeah, totally. And one thing that I learned that's really changed the way I think about all of this stuff is that at first I used to see some people that they just intuitively they just have it in them. Like they're just charismatic that when they're talking you just want to listen to them. But at some point the more and more I studied, I realized that charisma can be learned and like it doesn't
Mhm.
just come within you. Like you have to learn how to get other people to like you, to listen to you, to talk in such a way that they basically want to follow you as a leader. And that was a moment that really changed the way I talk, certain words that I say, this body language, these hands that you see right here, that came from there. So it's a lot. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's
and I
amazing
think
to
I think it
see you
makes you
have it.
feel confident because you're not sitting like this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you're
Exactly.
using your body, it keeps you calm. It keeps you very focused in what you're saying. This is what I think. It keeps me focused to the patients or to whoever I'm talking to, very focused, and I'm not losing track. But if you're just
Yeah,
quiet, then it's not
Yeah.
happening.
Well, the problem is that the moment
absolutely right.
I always tell Master, the moment my hands start moving, I start dancing. That's my problem.
That is a good problem too, because you're happy, right? You dance when you're happy.
I gotta be very careful. So I don't know. Lately on my TikTok, I've been doing a lot of dances, and they're like, "What is going on with this guy?" So that's a problem. My hands been moving too much.
Yeah, well, I have an associate, Dr. Shore. He is just an amazing guy. When he would get stressed during interactions, he came in pretty young too. He would dance in the hallway and he would love the songs and he's just singing away and dancing. So I thought he was happy, but then I realized he said he was more stressed at that
Well,
time. But and that's the way he was giving it out. And the patients loved it because the patients were scared. The patients were tensed. He's taking a tooth out. He's also scared because,
yeah.
the tooth is breaking, whatever is happening. But because the way he was handling his own stress, it made patients really calm.
Yeah.
They didn't know what he was doing. The patients were not. And he got so much referrals. That young kid was just, he shot off just because he was so easy to talk to. He was a human. He was not a doctor. He was connecting right away with like fun stuff, weather. So yeah, body
That's
language
awesome.
really is important.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with Masood. I think that's the type of thing. I think the one thing that I listen to a lot to other podcasts is like this soft skills in dentistry. They're such an important factor when it comes to the success of us as doctors. The things that you got going on with patients. The one thing I want to ask you, I'm going, as we discussed before this, going through the journey of trying to learn how to acquire practice. Me and Masood discuss a lot about this, like the systems that you want to implement, the things that you want to do. Early on, I'm trying to kind of figure out, because like I think I mentioned, I want to really like record my journey of like what is it going to be like, so I can put it somewhere so someone can learn from my experience.
Mm.
So what I really want to ask you is that as we're going through the journey of like figuring these things out, what are some of the key systems that a dental office needs in order for it to be like run effectively and run smoothly? And how are you able to, because as obviously you have 9 practices or 10 practices, you guys have figured it out how to manage the offices without being there. So that means that you implemented system that is working. So the question I want to ask is that what are the some key system that you had to implement to be able to grow and get to where you're at from the 2 practice to 4? So I just kind of want you to like walk us through that journey and let us know how that was.
So when I was talking to Masood, I was saying in the 2 practices, we were like chicken with no head. We did not know what we were doing. We just were very happy we have 2 practices. It was a good thing on our resume. Everybody thought we had 2 practices. We were doing good. But man, it was crazy because now everything doubled up. Salaries doubled up, vendors doubled up. We didn't realize that we're going to be spreading thin. And when we opened the third one, we kind of spread more thin. So we needed to invest in the teams. We needed to invest in our people. So what I did learn after our third practice was once Dr. Luke got the business plans done and we were ready to build it, or we were ready to acquire, or we were ready to do, we were ready and we signed the paperwork. The first thing we did was get a manager. It is so important to get a manager who is your right hand because you cannot do everything by your own self. Even though we had 2 people, but we are clinicians too, right? Like you're a clinician too. You still are working somewhere. You might be associating somewhere. You need a person who is going to be your right hand while that practice is building. And that person needs standard, strict KPIs that you're going to give them according to what practice you want, because you want them to be you, but you don't want to be doing those things. That person's going to grow with you. And I've learned then when I have had a manager and one dental assistant plugged into the position early on, I am more successful getting patients in there because we have a phone call, they're taking the phone call, or they're starting the marketing or whatever happens. But that person is already there in that, not in their building, but that person is there already with their phone ready. So they can start your credentialing, they can start your policies. They're masterminding with you while you're still working. Because you yourself, as a clinician, are in the 8 hours or 7 hours, are you going to make your production to pay off everything? Or you're going to do that and do your build out? That's crazy. That one doctor cannot do everything. So that is the way I think getting some right hand people is important. So you interview a ton of people, you pay them good. My manager gets good because they're the key people, right hand people for you. And then once the build out is almost done and we're ready to paint, we have the manager hire a dental assistant and a front desk at that time. So it's kind of calculated for me now because I understand that that's how much she needs help. So then we have a team of 3 people with us for that office. And we're already trained. We already know what we're happening. The phone is there. And we also start the marketing. The systems, it depends on what you like. So let's say when we were introduced after Dentrix, we were introduced to Ascend. We really liked it. and we jumped on it, and it has worked out really, really well. But there's so many cloud-based systems that you can use. It depends on what your comfort level is. I think it's just like what flavor you like, right? And I think all the systems work really good at the end as long as they can capture all your production correctly. They can capture all your adjustments correctly. They can get you the collections and AR correctly. That's it. What else do you want the system? The system is not going to talk to you. It's the same thing. You can make rice in a rice cooker, or you can make rice as a traditional. In the end, it's going to be rice, regardless of what system. I don't know why people make it so like tough. Yes, you will pay money for certain services, but I'm going to tell you something. Ascend, initially, we found that it was expensive, but as we've grown and I've known other people, once they find a cheaper system, in order for them to attach to other companies, they have to pay for different APIs, and it ends up almost the same. So be careful with what you are getting and ask them the questions, because you want to know what systems you want, what a phone system you like, what marketing system do you want it to get plugged in, if your financial software can get plugged in or not. These are important things. And we were very clear on what kind of reimbursements we wanted. From the get-go, we were not confused in that. So I think a doctor should know exactly what market they're going in and how they want to get reimbursed. If you want to go mixed market pair, Medicaid and PPO and cash paying, then you want to see a blue collar facility, right? So you can attract those patients more. But if you want to go fee for service, then you want to build that practice fee for service style and be in that kind of community where people are not going to come and haggle for co-pays for $20.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Doctor, what's your take on membership-based clinics?
Yeah. So we introduced a membership plan. We used Bento for quite some time, but did a lot of people bite into it in our styles? No, because for some reason patients feel like they're kind of stuck, because memberships in Costco and warehouses and Sam's work because there's excitement to go in. There's new things to go in. There's different things. They can take the whole family and buy different things and get discounts over it. In a dental office, if the patient's paying out of pocket for one treatment and you give them a discount, and then they come back in 6 months and they pay out of pocket again, you give them a discount, that's better. They don't want to be constrained because of that $400 fee that's coming out every month. That is what our experience was. We had it for 5 years, and then patients wouldn't pay. They wouldn't want to come back. They're saying, oh, I don't want this membership. I'll just come pay. You give me, I'm okay with that. They just didn't want to be constrained, because it's a different service than having it in other vendors, other retail offices, retail, what would you say, like Costco, Walmart, and those are different. So we tried it and then we left it.
So it
We
didn't
don't
work
have
out.
membership. No, it didn't work out for us. Yeah, we had to refund their membership fee, and that was more hassle. And our patients are much more easier to pay out of pocket for their treatment and then be done with it.
That's amazing. Doc, the other question I wanted to ask you, if you were going to go back and restart your journey again, what would you change about how you would do things?
If I would have to do something like that, I would probably, because I learned hiring a manager after my third, fourth practice, I would do that first. Because at that time, we were also working for the DSO, and it was tough. And I can tell you with my experience, we had to drive 2 hours because we had a restrictive covenant of 20 miles. So we had to open up in 2 hours away because everything's cornfield in Illinois. So it was very, very tough to go see the building, to talk to people, to go sign a loan, and everything was tough. Marketing was very tough. Second was marketing. I would say start the marketing early. Now we start the marketing as soon as we sign our lease. Yeah, because it takes time for the community to get warmed up to you, right? They already have dentists. Why would they want to come to you for the same drill and fill? No, they just want to see if you're different, if you're new, if you have new gadgets, and you're on social media nowadays. So it takes time for them to look at you. So if you open your doors and then start marketing, you've lost at least 3 to 6 months of revenue already. So if I were to go back, I would start my marketing way, way early.
And then as far as kind of like outsourcing things, Are you majority of the time, like your RCM, your marketing, are you guys outsourcing those to other people? Are you keeping it in house? What is your experience has been with that? Are you like okay with outsourcing things? Has that been effective? What is your approach with that? Because I see, like you said, yeah, your HR, you already have a company and things like that. So I want to know, like, are you guys outsourcing the marketing? Are you having somebody in house? What is that process like?
So our marketing started off with postcards and coupon pages, obviously, because that was the cheapest and that ran in the community. And slowly we went into newspaper and radio and TV. And obviously those things are expensive. So you have to budget it out. And then came into the digital world around like I think 2015, 2016, the digital started coming in and we kind of started getting introduced to it. We thought it was a hoax. Who's going to see the old people who we're going to do dentures for? They're not on computers. But right, it was that time that we were starting off. So we're like, no, who's going to do that? We still were with mixed marketing. And I was dealing around like 7 or 8 different companies in different offices. So I had 3 in one place and 2 in another Quad Cities and 1 in Springfield. And it was just driving me crazy because I'm a full-time dentist as well. So we did it. We stretched it as much as I could. And we weren't introduced to outsourcing at that time. I think outsourcing came around for us around like 2020. We started becoming a little bit more comfortable. And we're like, oh, okay, we can give it to some people outside it. And then I had gotten some referrals from other people. And then I outsourced my website, SEO, and things like that, Facebook. And so that helped a lot because obviously it wasn't that expensive. And it really pushed us to the limit that we were starting to get into the community more and the community was getting more warmer. Dentists are not very camera friendly. We were the same, very, very same. So it was very hard for us to put ourselves. And then it took us time to again improve ourselves better and understand that we can be part of the social media and start to talk about these things. And I dragged my husband. I was like, no, you gotta be, because he's Chinese. So I was like, no, dentistry has to be with Chinese people. You have to be on my page. So I banked on him quite a lot. And then we started a journey from there. So that was another stepping stone for us. So we outsourced. Then we put ourselves on the marketing. We started talking about it. We started coming in pictures. We started showing our cases. That was another part of it. Then I realized that I didn't have time. I became a mom. I have 3 kids now. At that time, I had 2 little ones. And I was just stretching myself too thin because now I cannot talk to all these vendors at all and I cannot connect to them. And my outsourcing timings were different. So they wanted something else for the website. And my other companies wanted API connections or CRM connections to themselves. So I had made a mess, kind of. And then I was like, okay, I need to hire someone. And that's the time after the 5th office, we started interviewing for our marketing manager. And then we got her. And that really, really helped. So she has taken care of all the marketing. We don't have any 7-6 vendors anymore. Even though I want to bring somebody in because every time TikTok comes in the front and they're like, oh, we can get you like 50 patients a day. And I'm like, Ashley, I want this marketing. She's like, no, she keeps me grounded. So she helps with all that. She revamped everything. So we gave her a department because at that time we were able to afford her.
Mm.
Right. So it was very important. We worked with a lot of Fiverr initially because it was cheaper. So it helped us grow as much as we could and brought us to our 5 locations at that time. But when we got her, she streamlined everything for us. So we still do outsource marketing, but that is for our heavy duty implant cases, which are like very niche kind of stuff. But for general dentistry, we use our own TikTok. We have our own system in place that every month they have to do this many stuff, and we give every office a topic. to make videos or whatever they would like to do, whatever the topic of the month is, and they can do however they want, and then we utilize it and then we push it out. So we make a lot of our own things.
That's awesome. Well, Doc, if it comes down to marketing and TikTok, if you check my TikTok, 90% of it me dancing in either Arabic or Farsi. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's gonna work.
but see, that helps, right? Your market is already warm to you. They're like, okay,
Master texts me sometimes like, Doc, what are you doing? I'm like, I have no idea at this point, whatever it takes.
whatever it takes,
No, yeah, you
whatever
said,
it
Doc,
takes.
some doctors are shy of the camera. I was gonna say Dr. Milad is
I'm
nowhere
not.
close to that.
No,
He's
he's
too
different. That's why he's
yeah.
on a
Yeah, he's too friendly with the camera, actually. Like, there has to be a balance sometimes.
I passed that balance long time ago, man.
he cannot go back.
I can't go back. Well, Doc, I
He
gotta
loves the
tell you.
camera.
Yeah, I gotta tell you this, but you said New York. So I actually grew up in New York City. I lived in Brooklyn
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
I lived in Brooklyn. I went to Brooklyn College. One of my undergraduate classmate, he was actually from Pakistan. He was from Islamabad, and me
Mhm.
and him, we went through the whole journey together. The one thing I gotta tell you, Doc, we would have studied. I was studying for my DAT, and it was like 2 in the morning. We were like, man, we're hungry. We used to go on Avenue Edge and Foster and go eat some halim and naan. That was the best thing.
Wow. Absolutely. Absolutely.
After 2 in the morning,
That is a
it
staple.
really. And I know after I left New York, honestly, I have not had any good Pakistani food. So I gotta go. Well, I gotta say Chicago has pretty good Pakistani food. So I gotta say
Yeah,
that too.
a lot
Yeah.
of Pakistani food,
Yes.
especially the Devon Street, is really
Yes.
good.
Yes.
Yeah, and you'll get halim there too.
Yeah, I know. We were actually in Chicago last year. Me and him went there and ate some halim. But he was like, nah, the New York one tastes a little better. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because at that time it was young, you were different, you could digest it better at 2 a.m. in the morning. Now I'm
Nah, no
sure
way.
digestion is different. Yeah,
Nah, no way.
things change.
But no,
Things change.
I love that. I love that about New York. It's just one of those places.
It never sleeps.
Never,
Never
never.
sleeps.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
teaches
what
you a lot.
I know. I honestly miss the lifestyle of New York. After I left New York and I went to school in Utah and then now I'm in Tucson, I'm like, man, I just miss that rush. That rush is
Yeah,
missing in my life.
yeah. Utah and New York are very different.
Very, very different.
Very different. Very different. Even the
Day and
people are
night.
so different. Yeah.
Absolutely. When I got to Utah and my never forget my orientation week, I would go in and drink coffee. And then one of my classmates were looking at me sideways. He's like, hey, these people don't drink coffee. I was like, well, I do. That's all I care about. They were
Well,
like,
now that you say that, when you're opening up a practice, this is really important where you want to open up.
yeah,
What kind of a person you are, what
yeah.
kind of patients do you want to see.
hmm
It is so important. And nowadays, you can actually search things on Google. Minimum household, maximum household, what are they buying? What kind of cars are they driving? You can do all that
Yeah,
and see what your niche market is. And you won't get stuck in something that you don't like.
yeah,
You can
absolutely.
actually tell how much are PPO patients and how much are
Yeah,
Medicaid patients. So
yeah.
if you want to take a pair mix, you find that kind of place.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah, that's exactly what it is, Doc. Sometimes, doing dentistry, if you don't enjoy the patient, it becomes very hard. Some days I'm
It
like,
is draining.
it's disastrous.
Yeah, because we do our best work. We do beautiful work. We do our best work. We're calling the lab 2 a.m. in the morning. Hey, do this. Make sure the clasp is like that. You deliver it to the patient, and the patient has the worst face in the world. Like, what? I
You're
did all that
speaking,
work for nothing?
Doc, you're just speaking my language. This morning, I did all
Yeah.
that thing that put the denture in the lady's mouth. She started cursing me out. I was like, uh-oh.
Yes, I can tell, and I sympathize and I empathize with it. It is very draining. I tell my
It
doctors,
is.
so even if, they're still maturing and they're learning, I tell my doctors when they call me at 6 a.m., 6 p.m. in the night, I'm probably feeding my kids and I'm listening to them because I have to listen to them. I know what they're going through. I'm like, you know what? You did your best. Don't get drained out. This is emotionally draining. If you think of it too much, you will not have a sleep and you will carry it forward. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out. Just don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it together. But it's
No,
very emotionally
it
draining for
is. It
people.
is. But it's okay. I learned the way. I just, I learned my ways of like whatever that is. If I have to dance myself off to sleep or whatever that is, I found my
Yeah,
way.
you'll do it. Yeah, you'll do it. You'll come
That's
out of it.
because if you stay in it for too long, man, the next day is gonna even be rougher.
Yes. The next day you'll have another patient.
I
And
know.
now you have two.
Well, today, Sam, like I had 7 back to back because on the 7th one, I was like, somebody, please.
Take these patients away.
I went outside. I was like, are there any dentists out here that can substitute in because I'm getting tired, man.
Yeah.
I
But then
tapped
you show
out.
up again, right? The next day.
Yes. No, I love what I
Yes.
do. I enjoy it. There's not a, I wouldn't take, I mean, dentistry is hard. But, hey, life is hard. What's easy? Nothing is easy.
Yeah.
So it comes with the
Yeah.
territory. Well, Doc, I truly want to say I really appreciate. I was texting Masood. I said, Masood, I want to wrap this up, but Masood said, man, Dr. Jaffery is so fun. Please don't. But I'm like, man, we gotta respect our time. Well,
No,
Doc,
it was fun. It was
yeah,
easy. I
I
hope people can pick up on something.
absolutely. No, I think I really truly appreciate your time. I appreciate the fact that you were kind enough by having 9 practices, giving us hour of your time, coming in here and just educating us on what's important. We need mentors like you in our industry, people, individual like yourself, willing to talk about your journey and willing to teach us what things are about. This is where the difference comes in. So I truly appreciate your time. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you. Thank
Yes, ma'am.
you.
Have a great night.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Yes.
Thank you,
Masood.
doctor. Thank you. Very good
Thanks,
to see you.
doctor.
Cheers.
Have a great night.